Welcome to this episode of Leadership Unfiltered. Today we're going to be talking about rebuilding. There are often times where we start, we build, and what we built was great. Or what we built maybe didn't meet what we thought it should or would or could. And we have to start over. And so today we're going to talk about what does that mean? What does that entail when you have to rebuild? How do you approach that in a way that honors who you are and honors the leader you aspire to be? I'm Phillip Smith. I'm coder by blood, architect by trade, and leader by choice, with over 25 years of leading large and small teams in corporate America. And I'm joined with Dr. Dayan Douse.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Dayan Douse. I'm a coach and facilitator of transformational behavior.
So rebuilding, this is near and dear to me at this moment because about a year ago, I stepped away from being an executive. And we talked about this in other podcasts about the difference between recovery and rest. I didn't rest, so I needed some time to recover, and I took it, which was wonderful. And then I also decided to rest. So I got to a place where the healing that I felt I needed after 20 some years of climbing, I got, and I decided to rest a little while longer. In that rest, I thought, I think I'm done. I think, I did what I intended to do. I'm done. And recently I realized I'm not. And so I decided that I'm not done being an executive. I still have a lot to offer because I realized that I wasn't honoring a third of who I am. I'm a coder by blood. I will code until the day I die. I'm an architect by trade, trained as a technology architect, and I'm a leader by choice. I've chosen that. And I realized that because I hadn't recovered and I hadn't rested, that choice was more than I could handle. And now that I have time to reflect on it, I realize it's not about a choice of whether or not I can or can't handle it. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of my identity. And so I'm going back, but doing it differently. Because there's a lot of learning that I get to apply. And so this rebuilding, for me, is about taking all of the experience that I have in terms of what it means to build a career, refocus that on making sure that it's about not that I have anything to prove to anyone else. It's about making sure that I have built the opportunity and the job that is for me. Yeah. And that has been a journey. And I look back at some of my friends who have rebuilt. And there's a couple of them that have rebuilt from nothing and done that repeatedly, and I'm in awe of that. I look at my parents, both my mother and my father, who have had to rebuild. And I have a new found appreciation because those folks, they did it with less than a tenth of the resources that I have. And not that I'm struggling, because I'm not, from a financial perspective, but I am struggling to make sure that I can honor all of the learning that I've amassed, and at the same time ensuring that I leave behind what should be left behind.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I'm at this moment.
Yeah. This is such a powerful topic because there will be times in all of our lives, personally and professionally, where we'll have to do some rebuilding. And we can delve into, we've both rebuilt teams, organizations, our careers. So those are all the professional ways we've rebuilt. And they all have some commonality, right? Some of the things that you're learning about your personal rebuild and how you took the time to rest to get you to what you have now discovered is part of your purpose and who you are, probably can be applied to organizations.
Yes.
In that way, personal and professional have a lot in common. Sometimes they do not. But in this case, some of the things that you've learned and how you want to rebuild, you can apply that to your next corporate gig.
Yes.
I had a personal rebuild in my retirement. So in 2024, I retired from corporate America and thought I would do something. I always wanted to coach and facilitate. I had my own practice, own business for many years. I laugh now and say I did a lot of moonlighting inside of corporate America, inside of the company that I work for, which they were gracious in allowing me to do that. But they helped me build that muscle that I would then go on to lean on heavily in my retirement. And even though I had some of that capability, had built some of that muscle, it honestly, I was still getting paid for my actual job every week, so I wasn't dependent on the income of my own company. Well, once I retired, either I was going to live off my retirement or I was going to start making money on a more regular basis with my business. And so I decided to lean into my business more. It was really a rebuild. It was there, the structure was there, but I had learned and grown and was such a different person in retirement than when I started the business in 2009. And so I had to really think about what I wanted this business to be. And it was scary. It takes strength. So when I can hear you talk about your parents, to rebuild takes strength to do so. Some courage, to your point, to get to what you want in the rebuild.
Yes.
And it's a little bit scary to think, I'm going to start this thing over. Even if you're not really starting over, to feel like you're starting over is a little bit scary. And so what I've learned in my rebuild, and I'm doing well, thankfully, my business is doing well, but I learned a few things. One, in my rebuild, I didn't have to do it alone. That was a hard one for me, because if you haven't listened to some of our other episodes, Phillip does a wonderful job of pointing out how I don't do a good job with getting help, that I do a lot on my own and feel that's the only way I'm successful. But I learned in my rebuild that is not true. That has never been true, but I got clarity around that. I also got clarity on my mission, on what I wanted in my business, which was very different, again, than where I started. And so you learn about what you want, you get clarity in your rebuild, you realize you're a different person, and that triggers some of what you want in this rebuild, and that it's possible.
Yes.
That while it's scary, it's possible. And that's the exciting part, is that everything that you are dreaming up in this rebuild is 100% possible, and maybe even, I can say more than possible, it's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to happen. As soon as you get clarity
Yes.
in what you want to rebuild and how you want to rebuild it, it's going to happen. I trust and believe that. And so those are some of the things that I've learned in my own personal rebuild.
You said a couple of things. the clarity around what it is that you want.
Yeah.
And that's why taking the time to rest is so important.
Yes.
Because it's that time that you get to understand what it is that you want. I truly believe at the moment of commitment, the universe conspires to assist you. It truly does. And it shows up all the time. There have been more times where I'm like, oh, it's that.
Yes.
And literally the next day, it will show up.
Yes. Yes.
It will show up. I was like, oh, that's what I need. That's what I want. And it's the clarity that comes with the acceptance. Because you know what you want. Because otherwise it wouldn't resonate with you so soundly when you finally accept it.
Yes.
So you already know what you want. It's just really accepting it. And when you do that, it unfolds.
Yeah.
And not to get too deep into the power of attraction, which I truly, truly believe that you own that power to attract to you once you gain that clarity. But it really is about understanding what is for you, which is why I say I'm not looking for an opportunity. I'm looking for my opportunity.
Yes. That's clarity.
That is clarity.
That is clarity.
I realized so much of what I had built, which was wonderful, I didn't build that all for me.
Yeah.
There were so many other drivers that drove me since I was a young kid. Some of the things that drove me to build was I needed to get out. I needed to get away. I needed to have my own. I needed to feel safe.
Yes.
I needed to have comfort that I wouldn't have to worry about where I was going to sleep, what my tomorrow looked like, what I was going to be able to eat. And what's wonderful is I built that.
Yes.
I don't have to worry about what my tomorrow looks like. I don't have to worry about whether I have shelter. I don't have to worry about food. I don't have to worry whether or not someone's going to harm me. I don't have to worry about those things.
Yes.
And so the thing that I am now building doesn't need to be built off of those things.
Yeah. Yes.
And the opportunity that I'm looking for can celebrate all the wonderful things that come along with the residue of that. And so I'm excited, but also realizing that these aren't muscles that I have exercised in a while, in a long time. Because there's a difference between building and rebuilding. Because it's not the same.
Yes.
Because if all you want to do is just rebuild what you have previously built, then that's just continuing the build.
Yes.
That's just building.
Yes.
Because all you're doing is just cookie cuttering. All you're doing is throwing down a subdivision, and you're just putting house after house. You're not rebuilding. You're just building.
Yes.
A rebuild requires that you take the time to do the work, to understand what should fall away.
Yes.
And what requires additional investment, and what new things need to be brought in.
Yes.
That's a rebuild. That is taking the learning and saying, okay, what should 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 look like?
Yes.
When you're doing that on you, that's really, we don't often take the time to do that. We don't often take the time. It's important, and I'll tie this back from a leadership perspective. Your team and the people that are surrounding you are there to support you. And you don't owe it to them to do it. But you aren't the only beneficiary of the work.
Yes. Yes.
And so knowing, because one of the things that I've learned is that I need to make sure that I'm doing these things for me. Not to the exclusion of other people, but knowing that it's grounded in what do I need so that the others can benefit, which is very different than doing something for someone else.
Yes.
Very different.
Very different.
Other people can be the beneficiary, and you can go into it knowing that they will be the beneficiary, but you're doing it for yourself.
Right.
And this rebuild, for me, is for me.
That's good. Such good learning. It's good learning. Rebuild, so a few definitional differences. Talked about building and rebuilding. I thought as you were explaining that, restructuring, redeploying, all different.
Yes.
All different. What stands out to me in rebuilding is that you are building different.
Yes.
Restructuring, redeploying is all extensions of what's already built.
Yes.
Rebuilding says, I'm going to take the learning,
Yes.
but I'm not going to use the same structure and just add on.
Yes.
I'm actually going to rebuild different. And the learnings will help me be different. What you are experiencing now, what I experience in retirement is because we are different.
Yes.
We're different people now, and we're taking the learning of being a different person and saying, what do I want as this version of me? Deployment or dot. So you think about technology.
Mm-hmm.
You have dot releases and you have full version releases.
Yes.
The dot release is just a fix to what's already there.
Yes.
A full release says this is going to be new.
Yes.
You're going to get new stuff that you haven't gotten before. That's what happens with our phones, with technology today that we all experience. You get those two different types of releases, right? Same thing here. What we're saying is we're not taking what we currently have and adding on to it. We're going to go totally different. And it took us a moment to pause, rest,
Yes.
to become different. It's the butterfly effect,
Mm-hmm.
right? This isn't, we're not trying to be greener, stronger, healthier caterpillars,
No.
right? We are now butterflies. We have now transformed into something different that requires something different for us. We want something different. And I'm not just going to settle with what I have.
Yes.
I'm going to actually rebuild what I want. That is powerful, life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, I don't know if many people actually, which is why I thought from the very start, when we kicked this off, how powerful this topic was, because I don't know if people get this level of clarity. I think they just continue to add on.
Yes.
Which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the newness that says, I'm going to be different, and so I want different. This is going to look different and feel different. That's the rebuild that we're describing. And from an organizational standpoint, I remember having a team, and our mission was changing.
Mm-hmm.
Our organization was changing as a whole, but that meant that specific organization's mission was changing. That team had been together for years, and they were going to have to split up and do a different type of work. And they literally held a meeting with me and my boss, and there were tears that they did not want to change. And we kept saying, and we didn't use those words specifically, but this was going to be a rebuild. This was going to be different. We were going to look different. The company was going to look different on the other side of this. And we had to figure out how we were going to fit into that. And so we went through that before we got through the whole rebuild. I retired, and some other folks did too.
Mm-hmm.
But even now, knowing what I know is happening at the company, it all worked itself out, and it's new. It's a new space, and they're okay,
Yes.
right?
It will be okay.
They're okay.
And that was my recent revelation. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was looking at my friends, and I was looking at my parents, and looking at so many other people. Like, I'm not the first to rebuild.
Yep.
And nor will I be the last. And they're all okay.
Yes.
They're all doing great.
Yep.
I had to just say, although it's scary and uncomfortable, it too will be okay.
Yes.
I can't let fear cause me to hold on. So there's the metaphor about the raft.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you absolutely, if you've got this raft, you absolutely need the raft to cross the river. But the second leg of the journey is climbing the mountain. Put down the raft.
Yes.
It served you extraordinarily well when you needed to cross the river.
Yeah.
but you can't climb a mountain carrying a raft.
Right.
And I love that metaphor around what is it that you need?
Yes.
What is it that you need now? Making those choices and those investments. Because that's how you get to being okay.
Yep.
Is that you are able to put those things down. And I recently finally unpacked, moved to Boston a couple of years ago, and through a series of hilarity and just a series of unfortunate events, I remained in boxes for those 2.5 years. And so I finally unpacked everything. And like, again, the universe is so always alive. And so the timing of me unpacking these boxes and the timing of me having these revelations and the time of me making this decision could not have been more perfect, because I had to go through all of these things that were in boxes, but with new eyes, to say, okay, is this a raft?
Yes.
Is this thing that I'm now holding something that is going to help me move forward? Or is this something that is forcing me or causing me to hold on to the past?
Yeah.
And you have to I get to do that physically, but you also have to do that inventory, right? And so when you're rebuilding an organization, when you're rebuilding a team, you want to look at an inventory. What are the things that are no longer going to serve us? And I've said before, as a leader, you have to make the difficult decisions. May cause tears.
Yeah.
May cause unrest. That doesn't mean you do it in a callous way. You do it with a ton of caring.
Yeah.
But you still have to make the call. And so some of the changes that are required in order to build 2.0, do that full version shift, will require difficult decisions that not everyone's going to like. Some of them may be painful, but you still have to make them.
Yes. I spoke about in the last video, our last episode, where we talked about burnout. And I made a possibly unpopular comment that when you're dealing with that, you may have to incur some loss. Same thing here. When you're rebuilding, there's loss.
Yes.
That you need to accept, not only for yourself, but for those around you, because they are used to, have come accustomed to what was built. They are actually, in some ways, benefiting and comfortable with what was built. And now you're going to rebuild to something new. That's an impact to them and their comfort level. Again, both personally and professionally. When we got ready to move that team, that was going to be an impact to them, to each team member and where they were going to end up. So your rebuild, there's loss and impact that needs to be accepted by the person that's rebuilding and those around them who have in many ways benefited from the prior structure that was already built.
That's an excellent point. And I didn't appreciate that until you said that there's a set of expectations around what was. That is something that you have to deal with. Because change is rarely comfortable. And those expectations, and they're subtle, right? Just little things that people become accustomed to really creep in. And when those things disappear, there is unrest.
Especially when you're not the one driving the change. It's happening to you. You feel like
it's happening to you.
Then that's really uncomfortable. I'm going to give you an example here.
Okay.
Hopefully it's not too personal or deep. But your dad is rebuilding a house. And he tore down, help me with the story, your old house.
Yes, he did. He tore down the family house.
And rebuilt new.
Yes. Wow.
So there is a level of connection to what was already built.
Yes.
That goes away.
Yes.
You lose something. And what is rebuilt isn't accepted or comfortable right away.
Mm-hmm.
You have to now get used to what's rebuilt and what's new. And that is what's scary and what takes strength and courage for not only the person making the decision
Yes.
to rebuild,
Yes.
but for everybody that was connected to what was built prior.
I both love and hate you at this very moment. Because I completely appreciate that connection, because wow, it's real.
Yeah.
And so to flesh out the story, yes, my father, the house was built in the early 1900s. Like, I mean, it was time. I mean, and so I 100% completely understand my dad's decision. One, it's his house. It's his house, but I have memories of that house. And while we talked about it for years, literally years, about what he wanted to do, when he finally pulled the trigger on it, I was not ready. I was not ready. It hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like a betrayal.
Wow.
That's how it felt. Intellectually, I knew this was the right answer, this was the right thing, and it's well overdue. But that house was home. How could you just tear it down?
Yes.
And of course you go through, well, how could you, and you do all of that internally, and you work through it. And oddly enough, today, after we finish this recording, will be the first time I ever set foot in the new house.
Wow.
And so, because I had the opportunity the last time I was in town to go and see the house multiple times. I hadn't.
Yeah.
And I'm ready now to make those new connections.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the impact of a rebuild on those who aren't driving the decision, like I said, I didn't appreciate it. And I'm realizing how much I didn't appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate you and thank you for making that connection for me, because I wasn't aware of what my rebuild and how that is impacting the people that are surrounding me.
Yes. Who got comfortable with what you had built.
Yes.
And all the emotions that you just expressed about that specific house rebuild is, whether you got through it really quickly or not, you had those, well, let me say for me.
Mm-hmm.
In my rebuild of my career and retirement and that, I went through those same emotions about my career, right? What does this mean for me? Mm-hmm. What does this mean for everybody else? I think I actually had a conversation with you that says, should I be doing this? Mm-hmm. Should I be rebuilding? Am I letting people down? Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh my, this isn't just about me.
Yes.
If I rebuild this and quote unquote it fails, everybody's going to say, what did you do? We were fine with what you had built. Everybody was already comfortable with that. And here you go. I need to rebuild. Why? But they asked you to do that. Mm-hmm. But I wanted that. Turns out, everything was fine. Everybody else is fine. And it was the right thing to do.
Yes.
Such a powerful topic.
Yes. And grateful that we had this chance. And although our time is up, we did cover rebuilding, which is more salient at the end of the conversation than it was at the beginning.
Yes.
We covered a lot
Yes.
around personal rebuilding inside a team structure, inside an organization, ways to handle that, and how do you make sure that you're navigating the difference between building and rebuilding? And how do you make sure that you're looking at it holistically, not just from your own perspective, but also from those around you, whether that be team members or very close families and friends. So with that, we'll see you next time.
Don't forget, like, subscribe, share your feedback and comments. Helps us get better. And we read all of those comments, so we appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Leadership Unfiltered. We hope you have found value in our conversation and are ready to take action in your leadership journey. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And don't forget to connect with us on social media for more leadership insights and resources. Until next time, keep leading with purpose.